In this lesson, we'll be extruding our text and splitting our project into multiple projects. Now, I want to start with the line graph. So I've already gone ahead and split these up and put them under null objects in our hierarchy so that we could have everything inside of those. So I'm just going to select the line graph null and I'll hit Control C, and then we'll just come over here and create a new project. And then I'll just hit Control V, and it's going to place it in this new line graph project. Okay, now this automatically starts out with that null being placed at the center point, but because our line graph was kind of lower down on the page, we'll need to come in here and move our axis. So you'll just want to click Enable Axis, and we'll move it down and over a bit. And then I'll unenable that axis and we'll move it back into place. So that's just going to help us staying a little bit more organized throughout the rest of the project. Okay, so first off, I want to extrude my text. So we'll come in here and I'm going to drop in and extrude, and I'll open up that line graph. Now let's figure out what we want the text to look like first. We'll start out with this bit of text here. So I'm going to scroll down, we'll grab that and drop it underneath the extrude. Now whenever I zoom in on it, you'll see that this makes it really quite large. So let's go into our extrude and turn down that position quite a bit. Now even at a 1 centimeter, whenever this is rotated very extremely at all, we really start to lose this word. So let's try a 0.5. That's a little bit better. Now we can see some of those counter spaces and it's easier to read. Okay, so now that we know that we want a 0.5 for our extrude, we can simply create another extrude. And we'll come in here and put it at a 0.5 movement. And then we'll duplicate it for the rest of the bits of text we have in here. So let's count how many we've got. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 14 dates. And that's going to also give us, let's see, 15 with this. I count about 27. So what we'll do is grab this extrude and duplicate it 27 times. So I'll just hit Control C to copy it once, and then Control V. There we go, 26 extrudes. And now what you can do to make this a little bit easier is come up here and hit this little plus sign, and it'll tear off your objects panel. And then you can start to really quickly and easily come in here and just grab the parts that you want. So I'll just start dropping these in just like this. And then I'll have to probably come in and drop a few of those down so that I can see more of this. We'll pull this up a little higher so there's more that's visible. And we'll just continue to place those underneath the extrudes in the hierarchy. And this is just a really quick way that you can reuse your text from Illustrator and have the right font, have everything kind of spaced out the way that you want, and then just give it a little bit of a 3D extrusion. And anything else you would want to add to the extrude, maybe if you wanted to have a little bit of rounding on it, make it have a little bit of a fillet or something like that, you would want to do that before you did this big duplication, because then you only have to do it once at the very beginning and it'll save you some time. So basically all of my percentages and all of my dates and all of my text I want to be under an extrude. Now I'm going to treat this piece probably with an extrude as well, but it's not going to have that same 0.5 value. So we can leave that off for a little bit later. And then we're going to use a sweep for the actual line that's being plotted along here. And it looks like I accidentally may have grabbed that line at one point. So we may have to figure out which one that is in. Looks like it's right under there. So that's fine. I can just pull that back out, put it back into place, and put something else underneath that extrude. Okay. We'll just steer clear of that one. And it looks like we actually need, I may have miscounted, we need about 3 more for what we have left here. So that's going to be the 55, the 58, and the about global warming. So I'll just select that last one before I drop anything in, and we'll duplicate it 2 more times just by hitting Control V twice. And then we can just continue on. Just like that. Okay, so then I'm going to drop in another extrude. And this one will place that path of the line graph measurements underneath it. And this one I'm going to allow to be that larger size because I'm going to want it actually to be a little bit bigger. Maybe not quite that big though. So let's go into the extrude and we'll actually take a look at its extrusion movement here. So I can just turn off my objects panel, my second one, that my original one's still going to be there. And then just with that one selected up here, we'll just come in and let's take that in half and turn it down to about a 10. Okay, great. Let's go into our 4-panel view just by middle clicking. And I'm going to look at this from the right. And I'm just going to move this over so the shape is kind of right in the middle of everything else. Just like that. And now when we come back out here, you can see that everything is just kind of sitting on that piece. Okay, great. So this already gives us a huge amount of just labeling and time saved from having to worry about all of that. Now, a lot of times I like to go back in and copy and paste the name back into the extrude. So if I do want to change it later on, I know which extrude goes with which one. It takes a little bit of extra time, but it's worth the effort. Now, that is an extrusion that I want to use on all of my text. So I'm going to jump back over to our 04 begin, and I'm going to grab one of those extrudes and actually give it to the rest of these pieces of text that we have access to here. So that's going to just allow me to save a little bit of time later on in the course. So you can do that as well if you want in between lessons. But in our next lesson, we're going to come back to our piece that we have here, and we will be creating a sweep animation for the line. And this is where the animation part of it's going to start to get really fun. And we also may create a sky just because this default gray is really hard to see up against the gray background. So stick around and I'll be showing you how to do both of those things in the next lesson.